A warm welcome to one and all present on this Sunday evening. Thank you for all the immense participation in the first two sessions, and we look forward for the same enthusiasm in this session too. To introduce, a masterclass is a one of kind of learning webinar series that gives the aspirants a flavor of MBA in technology. We try to bring in topics which we aim to bridge the gap between the MBA like technology and management. Today we have Professor Krishna Kumar Balaraman to speak on the topic technology foresight for managers. Before we start, I would like to introduce the speaker. Professor Krishna Kumar Balaraman is a faculty in the strategic and public policy area at School of Management and Entrepreneurship at IIT Jodhpur. Sir holds a PhD from IIT Madras in the area of strategic foresight and alliances. Sir has more than 2 decades of international leadership experience in developing products and solutions in leading edge technologies and advises startups on business models and strategies. He regularly presents papers in international conferences such as Strategic Management Society and Academy of International Business. Professor Krishna Kumar Balaraman is also a reviewer for journals such as IEEE Engineering Management Review and IEEE Transactions on Engineering Management. So, getting insights from such a wonderful professor will definitely boost our morale. So, I would request you all to be interactive. And, sir, the virtual dais is all yours, sir. Please continue, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Chaitanya, and good evening to one and all. And if you are in a position to switch on your videos, it would be great to see you all. Uh, and thank you for coming on this Sunday evening to share your precious hour with us. I would like to, without much further ado, move on to what we will be discussing today. Broadly, the purpose of this presentation is to just like Chaitanya said, put you in touch with what could be methodology we adopt here, and what you could learn here in an already crowded MBA market, right? And where did we start? And before we go into that story and the narrative and some maybe some learning of what could be foresight techniques, I'd first of all like to welcome all of you to IIT Jodhpur. IIT Jodhpur is an 852-acre spacious campus situated on the Nagaur Highway, National Highway 62. It's got a beautiful architecture, inspired both by the great architectures of the state of Rajasthan, with its forts and palaces, and the local sandstone facade. And it's also got a huge nature content to the campus. 852, how can it not have nature? And you can see the visuals are something to behold, and I think the huge horizons which we see, which also sort of implies the horizon you can explore as part of your education here. Not only are we just we are management school, we are management school embedded in a larger context of an IIT, with multiple technological and interdisciplinary research possibilities. So we do share the campus with a lot of flora and fauna. And I want to say that, of course, we encourage students to come on campus as and when situation gets fine. And hopefully you'll all get to enjoy this beautiful, beautiful campus, which is very welcoming and perhaps a lovely place to live for 2 years. And then in this galaxy of IIT Jodhpur, a star was born in 2019, late 2019. It's called School of Management and Entrepreneurship. And there in the left photo, you see our professor, you can see Professor Santanu Chaudhary, our director, a professor who has established this institute with a lot of foresight. What that means, we'll come to it. But when people ask why another management school in a crowded market, we see we are just not a management school, we are a school with a difference. And we will come to it as we go along this discussion. So can anyone from there tell me what this particular statement means to you? Anybody from the audience? Any quick comments? Why am I putting it here?
Sir, I guess it was the first metaverse marriage.
Awesome, Shikhar. Absolutely, right? It was the first metaverse. And which place did they actually get married? Which state in India?
Sir, Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu, right? So we'll come to that particular point. Beautiful. That shows that you guys are keen in already to what's happening. And what more happened? This particular picture, what is special about this particular picture? Anybody?
It's a NFT.
Ashutosh, absolutely. NFT. It is one of the NFTs which got sold. And what was the price of this particular picture on the NFT? Any idea? So people are making money on the marriage, man. I mean, it's like a really juicy proposition, right? You can the technology, the way it's happening, the way we are conducting events, the way we are living our lives, everything is changing. And if we need to understand as both as practitioners and also as users and also as part of a society, we need to be very aware of where technology is leading us, and that's where technology foresight and foresight in general becomes a very important tool or a very powerful tool for a person to possess. And there are aspects of foresight. Foresight is not just an English word, because we need to understand if anything is to be made operational or to be understood, we need to have a definition. We need to understand what are the aspects, what levels are we dealing with. So going further, I'll just formally introduce what is currently considered foresight. You can say that what are some of the ways to think about foresight, right? Is it ability to visualize alternate futures and shape the direction of future events. Not only are we supposed to be ready for a future, we need to be able to think about future and try to see whether we can go there and influence the society, environment, manage the business to go to the future I would prefer. And futures are not necessarily business environment, even though today we are talking in, because of the MBA context, we talk about a business future. The business futures are heavily tied to social movements, to changes in society, to changes in technology, to changes in politics, to how legal structures are able to support that technology. And anybody, any organization or any individual who's able to navigate that and understand that better upfront stands to gain a competitive advantage from a strategic perspective, and that could also mean multiple things. Apart from monetary benefits, it could also mean having power, position, and a bunch of stuff. Foresight can also be seen as the ability to see economic trends before others do, right? What are the possibilities? For example, the previous example of the NFT, the first metaverse marriage, at least from Indian perspective, it seems very ludicrous. But suddenly, if you put yourself into a situation of the current COVID situation, it seems to be a sweet solution, right? Not more than 50 people to congregate in a marriage, and suddenly you've got digital avatars and you can have thousands of people if you want. Invite them. All of them will be able to part of that marriage. Of course, you need to have certain devices, you need to have certain facilities, no doubt about that. But suddenly everybody anywhere in the world is suddenly being able to participate, not just as a as viewing an event, but participate with a touch feel, a virtual touch and feel. Of course, it has a lot of other problems. We will come to it. In a business context, strategic foresight is considered as the ability to maintain a forward view and then use it for the organization. Now, doesn't past matter? It's a question which comes in the foresight. Past matters. People who don't learn from the past, don't learn from history, are condemned to repeat it. But then, if you see any kind of financial models or financial advertisements, you will say past performance is no indication of future performance. So there is a contradiction there. Is past important? Of course, past is important, but if you know past, can you predict the future? Maybe not. But then the knowledge of the past and the current state of art will certainly have to be combined with a very knowledgeable assessment of the trends which are evolving, and trends from various aspects of the trends in societal movements, trends in politics, trends in legal, trends in legal. And so there is a very important point to have a forward view. Now, from a statistical perspective, there's something called forecast, which depends on the past data. And when you have past data for certain well-known events, you can assign probability to it. So, but probability is still a notional element. because it all depends on the context and the assumptions which players make in making those forecasts. And hence, it becomes much more difficult for a foresight situation to say when you don't have a probabilistic model, when you have at best a model of be able to make sense of the situation, who's to say who is wrong, who is right. And that's where getting into a methodological foresight methodology becomes a very interesting aspect to look at. So a formal definition, if you will, one of the definition which I usually go with is for foresight in general is the ability to visualize alternate futures, see through the apparent confusion, spot developments before they become trends, see patterns before they fully emerge, and to grasp the relevant features of social, business, technological currents that are likely to shape the direction of future events. And technology foresight, in particular, since this is the talk on technology foresight, because School of Management and Entrepreneurship is a school which is heavily invested on technology as well. We expect to give our students a reasonable rigor of technology, and we are very, very advantageously positioned, especially being in an IIT ecosystem. And of course, in subsequent sessions, you may get a feel of a few more of that technical immersion. In some of the subjects, for example, we try to go beyond just the PPT and actually give the experience of technology to students by show and tell. We have a huge additive printing lab here. We have an EV lab here. We have one of the fastest parallel computers, supercomputers right now in the campus. And you are moving around in an environment where it's just not a black box, but where you're living and pulsating with the changes in technology, right? So technology foresight, when you're able to develop your ability to have a systematic effort to visualize long-term futures, especially from science, technology, innovation background. And it has a lot of policy implications because many of the technology right now really does not have policy backing, or at best policy is fuzzy. One of you said Metaverse. What are the policy for Metaverse? Huge problems are arising there already, right? What about privacy issues there? What about monetization issues there? What is the legal structure? And suddenly, technology by itself will not be enough to know. It is technology in conjunction with management, in conjunction with commerce, in conjunction with societal attitudes, belief systems, and environment, sustainability. Just because we get into virtual world, is sustainability a problem? Because you need such amount of computing power for getting into the metaverse. Suddenly it becomes environmentally unfriendly because we need to have huge data centers. You need to have huge processing speeds. And already there's a huge talk about how data centers are actually becoming sources of very concentrated environmental issues, right? The heat it's emitting. And technology foresight also involves the stakeholders. What about societies in which such technologies are implemented, right? So when you're looking at technology foresight, it is about the potential of future orientation of technological change in conjunction with all these forces, taking along the people and making sure it is sustainable. In what way sustainable? By the three P's of the triple bottom line, what we presently call in ESG, environmental, social, and governance. The three environmental, social, and governance, we need to look at technological change from that aspect. Sustainability is a very important aspect. Sustainability in terms of economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and social sustainability. So when you're going to be future leaders and managers, when you're introducing technology, playing with technology into your services, products, you need to be very sensitive to all this. And perhaps if you're able to curate a solution which takes all this in account upfront, that's where your foresight comes into play. Right? And this can be at multiple levels, right? It could be at micro, meso, and mesa. Individual can have foresight. It can be foresight at a group level, at an organization or a firm level, or a team level. Foresight at a national level, India, national, we have a vision, right? And vision requires for us to create a lot of foresight-driven plans. 2047, what is the current government's vision of 2047? Anybody? What do you want to become by 2047? We want to become a developed nation by 2047. But what is the definition of developed nation? And is the definition of developed nation keep going to change? So we need to have a lot of future-driven policies here which can help us attain that. And then, of course, at global level, any technology introduced, we need to have the foresight to see what are the damages. For example, EV vehicle, everybody's talking about EV. But what about the disposal of battery? The lithium in the battery is actually going not degrade for 75 to 100 years. How are you going to dispose it of? It may not be usable again. Huge environmental problems, maybe much more than even gasoline, which is gasoline is the immediate pollution, but lithium could have years of, persistent pollution. And if so, what is lithium ion driven EV batteries really a solution? Or is hydrogen fuels a solution? These kind of issues have to come into play at the global level as well. So again, you can see why it is not just of immediate usage. It's a very interesting scenario that instead of all of us feel that we are doing great thing by doing EV, but we are just we need a huge charging network. And to charging network, we need power stations, and power stations could be still polluting somewhere at mass levels unless we go in for renewable energy. It's a very complex issue, right? It's not one or two. It's a complex issue which we need to consider multiple issues, especially any policy we have to be relevant for the future. In fact, sustainability in terms of economic, um, environmental, and societal issues, and in terms of ESG, is becoming investment benchmark. So ESG investing is becoming extremely crucial. So to have a ESG investing view, people need to understand foresight. Need to behave with foresight, and not just a word, but it's much more complex. We'll go through maybe a small example later. But of course, we have managerial foresights. Individual managers have exhibit foresights by looking at the patents which their organizations are able to deliver. Sometimes do it for personal gains. Sometimes it's called trading. They do trading. In spite of knowing what is happening, there are companies which have not been able to take advantage of their leadership. For example, Google in cloud, Amazon took a lead. The first digital camera. Anybody from the audience who knows who invented the first digital camera in the commercial level? Sorry. No, it's good try, Sir Enjoy, but no. And at least tell which year. Which year was the first commercialized digital camera? Functional digital camera displayed. Which year? 1975. Can you believe it? Right? Kodak. But the managers, they decided that their money lay not in digital, but in selling films and film chemicals and equipments and all that kind of thing. The rest is history. You know what has happened to Kodak. So managers can still have it, but not use it because they have other behavioral issues or something called the agency. Everybody is looking at short-sighted. They're looking at the immediate quarterly profits, their yearly bonuses that they don't choose to see that where the industry is heading, where the society is heading. Right. So there's something what I would call the bottommost level in organizational context called employee foresight. Every employee has various touch points with the customers, with new technology evolving, with legal aspects, a bunch of things. Each employee, depending on the function, has it, and they develop their own view of the future based on their interactions with the various intersections of society, government, technology, legal, environment, everything, and that they help them develop. And it is organizations who need to really dip into the um, individual employees' capabilities. Then what is the problem? We know all this, and what is the problem? The challenges are bounded rationality, because all of us are rational. We like to believe rational. And the traditional economic definition of rational is people act in a way if it maximizes their profit function or utility function, depending on it. But sometimes we are rational within a context. I may be rational within an Indian market, but not able to understand a foreign market. I may be rational within a particular technology, but not understand evolving technology. So bounded rationality is a challenge which people, just in Kodak's example, they never understood that digital was the wave of the future. So they were way ahead of their time to understand that. Managerial myopia, again I said, having quarterly results could be a challenge, so you don't look at forward, look long term. A top-down approach, who's to say that people sitting in the executive cabins know better? Organizations need to also adopt, as I said, employee foresight becomes very important. More and more, that the cycle of change becomes shorter and shorter. Organizations need to look at their employees who are at the edges of technology and management and legal and environment to understand what really works for them. The top-down approach has been a challenge for many organizations, right? So I know that we are. I think I need to have a hot stop at around 7:30, but so I will maybe take questions towards the end, or have a discussion towards the end rather than questions. There are a lot of foresight methodologies like scenario planning. It examines a whole range of possibilities and use foresight in context of volatility and change. For example, the EV. I mean, what happens when I do a disposal of the battery? What do I do? And is then if I don't have a lithium ion battery, is there an alternative to lithium ion which is more powerful and less polluting? So I need to look at various technologies and see various foresights of what is the infrastructure required for that, what is the service level required for that particular kind of technology, and what happens if there is a resource constraint. For example, right now lithium is um, in the hold of very few countries. So what happens to those? It's like oil is in the hold of very few countries. So what happens in the future, especially for a country like India? Delphi method is where people with multiple expertise come together and they do a collective wisdom. It's a crowd wisdom. Decision trees is helpful in making choices, especially based on a perceived risk and gain, based on probability goals, and it's again these it depends a lot of on the choices based on the past understanding and also understanding of the future evolution, which we see from the weak signals and peripheries and all that our as individuals and as groups. There are evolving methods like Flux 3D, which is forward-looking user experience, especially in the metaverse. This is going to be extremely important. How future usage will take place and hence how future businesses will develop, future policies are required, and this looks at participatory methods. Many of them cannot be totally quantitative in nature, and Flux 3D method could be a very important aspect to uh, in the especially in the metaverse world. And technology road mapping is more specifically is how a temporal view based on time, how technologies can move, the trajectories of process, products, functions, and then how to evolve prospective technologies, right? Now, there are a few more techniques based on purpose, focus groups, forecasting, as I said, based on past data, and the simulation, which is based on past data and trying to randomize using statistical methods, and risk assessment is based on our sense of collective probability based um, analysis of uncertainty. And there are other very tried methods like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, brainstorming. And one of my favorite methods is backcasting. Is basically place yourself in the future and trace back what pathways you can reach there and see what you should do at the current time. So that's another way of a very powerful way, back to the future, so to speak. Right? Some of you may have seen that movie. And of course, evolving techniques like AI and deep learning, inference procedures, forward chaining, backward chaining, and it's getting faster and faster, especially with quantum computing coming in with multiple states. And the field of foresight methodologies is getting more exciting as we go along. So very quickly, I'll give an illustration of this particular thing with the metaverse. Chaitanya, let me know when I have to stop. I will make a hard stop, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Metaverse, what is the problem with the metaverse? What are the challenges of metaverse, right? But what is metaverse? Of course, it is a term which has been from 1992 from a science fiction novel like Snow Crash. Neil Stephenson used that and basically envisioning life like avatars who meet realistic 3D buildings and other virtual reality environments. Gaming has taken this concept to a new level already. It's a lot of a convergence of physical and digital realm, the next evolution of internet and social networks. We already have a lot of AR, VR devices, and especially the current COVID situation has rapidly enhanced adoption of digital methods for delivery of various experiences, and that has helped us in some way. And of course, now metaverse, you can see actually there is real estate being sold in metaverse. Next year, it's going to be a $1 billion market. People are already bidding for real estate on the metaverse, for castles, for land, for environments. Companies are then buying villas on the metaverse, and they're already selling it, buying it for $10,000, selling it for $1 million, and those kind of things are happening. Uh, Whether all this will pan out, well, we need to analysis and see how the society accepts it also, right? And then, of course, there's non-fungible tokens, and some of you rightly said it's the first metaverse meeting, which is metaverse meeting, which is made as debut in India. And first time is always strange, but maybe in a few years we will be so used to it, we'll be wondering how did we ever have physical marriages, right? Jodhpur is a destination wedding site. So, which famous couple is planning for a wedding at Ranthambore? Any idea? Destination wedding at Ranthambore? Planning for it, according to popular news. Okay, check it out. And who had a which famous couple had a destination wedding in Savai Madhopur a couple of months back? All of them made money from their wedding by selling their photos, by selling event management. So now just imagine already even ordinary people are selling their NFT. Their yeah, you're right, you got it. But yeah, absolutely yes, KitKat manage. But security is an issue. Already we have harassment already starting in the metaverse. And it's become very serious. In fact, last week we can see that, and there is no legal structure. And Facebook was already looking at your pupil movement, your eye movement, your eye rapid movement, your breathing, your to sense your emotional state and push Uber specific advertisements to you. And there is no legal structure right now to stop that because they say, and they have all this, they have filed so many patents which even looks at your state of mind when you're using it. Yeah. Yes, Shoma. Brilliant. Ranbir and Alia. So it is, I can see it is not simple about use of technology and how it's going to be used, where is it going to be used. And then it comes to, if you want to run through a very, very high level analysis to just running through the thought process, initially you could look at technology. It's like lifelike simulation experience of using your impulses, body impulses, and providing you experiences which are very realistic and tightening your senses. And technology is there, especially right now, which is evolving. It's of course, it's a very, in some sense, a very, very nascent stage, but it's come a long way in the past 10 years. Like Oculus, and you have a bunch of stuff. Society, slowly we are accepting the concept of a digital life, a digital twin, if you will. People are creating their own avatars. I think maybe the next generation will be born with avatar, and before they are born, the parents will start booking avatars for them as well. Right now, the political interference is low, depends on the governance system. In a place like China, it's highly controlled. The government uses it very effectively. Whereas in a place like India, it's still evolving. Europe, US, it's still evolving. Interference is low, but so is the legal structure. The economic benefits are seeing, as you can, speculation is happening on real estate, NFTs, combined with crypto instruments, and that's so you see, technologies are not just standalone when you do technology foresight. So the evolving technology has come up. Of course, legal right now is in a very, very primitive stage for these kind of interactions. Even though we have a lot of science fiction to guide us, still the formal legal structure is still primitive. A lot of changes have to take place. Inclusions have to happen. Environmental impact, especially what about jurisdiction? What happens if one avatar is in the US and another avatar is in India, and there is crime committed? In which jurisdiction will that be handled? A moot question, right? So technology foresight instruments will handle that. High impact of energy usage, ethical issues. It's evolving discussion. People still are not able to get the total thing. As we go along, we'll have a lot of this discussion. Next for 10 years is going to be a lot of ethical discussions going to happen. And some of the scenarios, right? It could replicate real life events which are already happening. We can see the marriages, entertainment, immersive, multi-trillion-dollar industry, if you will. It's commerce, Uber advertisements is going to happen through the metaverse. Medical, some good things can also happen, right? Remote diagnosis, education, our the way we're delivering could be very, very different. We can still have classrooms without people being in the campus. So with the new budget announcing digital university, it could be a new way of delivering knowledge. And of course, we have impact on tourism and travel. Just imagining, just maybe people will start traveling less because they can get such immersive experience of going to Taj Mahal. Or maybe just touching those cultures without offending those cultures or those things, or going to Machu Picchu and still having that walking through Machu Picchu, going through everywhere, right? Maybe people may not need to maybe traveling so much like before. I can have, or rather put it this way, I can travel only to a certain amount of places in my lifetime. But if I don't have to travel, I can have these immersive experiences, and the whole travel industry can become a huge business in the metaverse. The travel industry may actually shift to the metaverse to say, if you want to go somewhere. I mean, think about this. These are all very, very, very fascinating scenarios which can be developing. And then we have technology roadmap along the temporal line. It could be, of course, incumbent and new companies, devices and contents constantly going to be developed. Now, device development is happening, then user interface refinements will happen. Network and platform design will happen. There could be certain platforms which will get aggregated, just like Google's or the Facebook's. And dominant design evolution will happen. Standardization needs to happen. Still, it's not there in terms of the experiences. So plug and play of various devices based on standardization will happen over a period of time. And all this will be in the context of other evolving technologies, 5G, NFT, additive manufacturing, edge computing, quantum computing, name it. And all this will also be parallelly, we need to have societal use cases and also and also political and legal framework which is developed. And this is a very, very high level roadmap. And each of these boxes can be spread much more in technology road mapping exercise. For example, let me put a scenario for healthcare. Just in a single scenario, these devices can measure eye movement, pupil, vital parameters, micro sweat to know your arousal parameters. And this can be actually sent avatars of doctors and patients in digital world. And there could actually be a virtual touch-based examination. And if this is a scenario, then avatars of doctor and patient, I think repeated it there. Prescription and metaverse, legality will ensure whether the prescription can be done. So a specialist can be in the US and still sitting here, and your patient can be sitting here, not anymore. I mean, anywhere, right? It doesn't matter. People we can still be tested. If I think the possibility that you can be tested by, if you have a sprain, for example, and you really don't have to go to the doctor, and there is a particular device method for which the doctor can actually examine and touch and feel the bulge and all that kind of thing to see whether what kind of sprain it is. Phenomenal, right? And then how do you get your medicine? And you don't have who's to say that you need to have 500 grams. Your particular parameters would say perhaps you need to have just 456 grams of particular medicine, perhaps. Well, you add 4 more. So you have specific dosage-based additive manufacturing or prescription from a pharmacy near you. And then blockchain medical records and future avatar meet can be always scheduled. A blockchain will give your records scheduled, so keep it very secure, and then you will have monitoring, and the cycle will go on. This is just a scenario. There can be multiple such scenarios from a metaverse point, and this is healthcare. It could be in gaming, in entertainment, marriages, events, you name it, right? In fact, I think who's the guy who sang Tunuk 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 Tuk Da Da Da? Who was that artist? Who sang Tunuk Tunuk Tunuk? Mehendi, right?
Dalit Mehendi.
Dalher Mehendi had his first Metaverse concert, I think last week or last month. There was a Metaverse concert. So maybe that's something of the future. You may not really be exposed to. The COVID has told us we don't want to be exposed, right? Some of the reflections and coming quickly to SME. We are based on Foresight-based education. And why is that? We have 3 pillars. One is technology. Our curriculum is based on 3 pillars of technology, industry connect, and sustainability connect. Sustainability for us is not a subject, it's a thought process right through. And all this is based with the concept of foresight, because kal aaj aur kal. And all our curriculum is based on, you need to know the past, you need to know the current state of the art, and you also need to know where the future is headed. And that is extremely important for the futuristic mindset. And we have, and what is that going to lead to? It's creating the leaders of the future. And not just on why is it important? What if 5 years, 10 years down the line, you'll be ready for the future when it happens, and you'll always be thinking, or more importantly, you can be influenced with the future trajectory which industry can take. And that is our aspiration, to create futures, not to create leaders or to get a job in the next 2 years, but to have leaders and managers who will be very, very relevant 10 years down the line, because the thought process we have set you on. And of course, we have 2 streams of MBA, MBA and Tech MBA, MBA Technology. But again, both the first years have a huge technology immersion. We have brought in innovation called the Technology Lab, where everybody who's doing the MBA will be exposed to the various evolving technology, and it's non-graded course so that people can feel comfortable, and we encourage people to take the technology, MBA in technology. And we do have international collaborations with 3 major universities, and in the second year, it could be 1 plus 1.5 years, or you can get dual degree, both IIT PhD, IIT MBA, and masters from one of the partner universities abroad. And of course, all this is coming in the context of the Center of Technology, Foresight and Policy, which we have in IIT Jodhpur, which is again a vision of our director, which is looking at future-based technology, foresight, and policy contributions as a company. It's an evolving center, of which I am also involved. And we have multiple in IIT Jodhpur. We have interdisciplinary research platforms in robotics and mobility systems, because we believe subjects of the future are not just subjects; they need to be interdisciplinary. Digital humanities, combination of humanities and in the digital world, IoT applications, quantum information computing, smart health, space technologies, and all this have faculty from various streams of technology. And of course, the application portal, the future belongs to a talent network with a combination of technologies management is our presentation to you. And IIT is a great choice because it's one is, of course, once you're an IIT alumni, you have life through, you got access to so much of talent as a part of the network. And of course, the MBA tech option and the tech-based MBA program in IIT Jodhpur is very, very unique, and it's already capturing a lot of attention with the industry, and people are very excited about it. There have been some major online educators who want us to launch courses for them, and it's a very, very exciting place to be. So it's an on-campus network, a foresight-oriented management education, and I wish you all the best on that. I know it took short over by 11 minutes. Chaitanya, it's all yours.
Yeah, please raise your hands if you have any doubts regarding the session, please.
Either was extremely clear or you didn't understand anything I said. Otherwise, there can't be total silence. What should I assume? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Om Prakash, please go ahead.
Uh, in the era of IIMs, why should one discontinue joining IIM and join IIT Jodhpur?
I never said discontinue joining IIM. All I'm saying is IIT Jodhpur has certain advantages because of the way we have curated the curriculum, and we believe that the technological environment of IIT Jodhpur can give students, management students, a lot of immersive technology experience as well. Because we have it in campus, we have taken advantage of it, and that's the advantage students will also get. Oh,
Yeah, thank you for your reply.
sure, welcome. Shoma, Shomya.
Good evening, sir. Yes. So my question is like you talked a lot about NFTs and the metaverse. So it's still a concept of the future, and at present the main focus mainly goes towards gaming using metaverse and these. So in how many years will it come to the market? Like these days, how we use Amazon or we are using Zomato, all these products and services. So when this thing will come to the market for the general use?
Look, as it's all a combination of multiple things, right? One is that's where I went here. If I want to go here, I just try to go back to that particular slide. What do we really look at now? Is the current, who's to say the current Amazons or the Googles are going to make it in the metaverse, or even Meta is going to make it in the metaverse? It's driven largely by the use cases, the form factors of the devices, the ease of use of devices, how interoperable it is, how much the society wants to adopt it, a bunch of stuff, right? It's all very early stages. And as part of an organization, or as part of a startup, if you're able to visualize and catch the right trend and bet on the right set of attributes, then there could be new companies, new kind of companies evolve, which may actually beat hollow many of these bigger established companies who have very, very deep pockets. History is repeated again and again. So who is going to rule the roost is still up for grabs. All what we see right now is NFTs and blockchains and using crypto on all this like current metaverse management. All these are very early stage options, right? We will be seeing a lot of much more compatible, very easy to use devices. For example, why should I wear Oculus device? Why can't I just use it? Why can't I just have a contact lens based device for my experience? Right? Somebody's going to ask that question. and that has becomes largely non-intrusive. People may completely all this about oculus. You may just move away. You may just have a small ear implant and a contact lens, which is very uh, uh, which can project. Uh, it can give you different kind of experience, and you may be good to go. So this is a very early stage, and my impression, I mean, of course, I'm no expert because there are much more technological experts there. But from a user perspective, I can just say that there's a lot of way to go for device development, for a dominant design of interaction interfaces to come up. And we may see a lot of new ideas in companies. Maybe you may be part of one of the new companies as well. And then, of course, the legal structure and political structure is going to play a very, very important role in how this evolves. So we know right now it is very, very primitive, right? As for example, the jurisdiction. Who's going to win? Well, that's precisely what we want our students to be, right? This is what we try to, and you can be ready for the future, be influence of the future trajectory. Show me you. That's it, my answer.
Yes, so thanks, sir. I think it will be really great if anyone gets the opportunity to have a job role in Metaverse. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Hello, Milan, you can go ahead. You can ask your question.
Uh, Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, we are living in the era of right now. We are living in the era of artificial intelligence. So, if in near future metaverse will come, then will artificial intelligence become old fashioned, or they will both combine together to make something new? Or how it will affect our industry 4.0, or it will introduce us to industry 5.0 or its new versions?
Yeah, of course, the way what we call as Industry 4.0 right now is a huge jump in the evolution, the way we see things. Now, if Metaverse comes, and if a worker is going to not from his home wear on the device and able to operate the machinery, right, it's going to be a huge evolution. So it's possible that Metaverse could also have a use case in industrial production. And AI is all the algorithms of AI, where many of them have been there for decades together to just do. And there is no golden AI algorithm available. Everything is very, very contextual. People try to make it better and better with better, more computing facilities. It gets faster, and when it gets faster, it has to be a more. It has to. They try to do a more optimized way of doing it. Having said that, of course, you are right that it will be a combination. In a metaverse, artificial intelligence techniques will be incorporated to, for example, push you the right advertisement or take you through an experience which is not going to be created. You can create your own experience because artificial intelligence engines can actually uh, predict your next move or predict your next wish list based on a bunch of your previous actions. So maybe neural networks will be situated there in the edge, and you maybe your usage will train your particular avatar as a character, right? When this characterization happens of your avatar, and there will be a lot of AI based techniques which will try to take advantage of that information. So it's going to be a combination, but of course, it will be in a different form, different shape because of computing facilities and also the usage area.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I think there are no more questions further. So I would like to throw some light about the SMA IT Jodhpur.
Absolutely. You want to share? I can disconnect sharing,
Yes,
right?
yes. Ritika, can you please share your screen?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Hi all. So there are 6 USPs for School of Management on Entrepreneurship, IIT Jodhpur. So the first one is the intensive industry interaction series, which are conducted very frequently, and the IIT ecosystem leveraged in the School of Management and Entrepreneurship, and the MBA with Tech Immersion is one of the key USPs for SME IIT Jodhpur. And another USP for SME IIT Jodhpur is the international dual degree collaboration. So we have more than four foreign universities which are collaborated with IIT Jodhpur, and we also have an incubation opportunity for entrepreneurs. And you can look at the placement statistics. We have highest package of 21.35 lakhs CTC, and we have average on 12.8. And our key partners are American Express, PTM, Deloitte, Cognizant, HCL, and these all are the key partners of SME IIT Jodhpur. Ritika, please, can you please change the slide? So the admissions criteria, as you know, all for Indian applicants, a valid CAT score is required, and a bachelor's degree with minimum of 60% marks is also required. The final year students are also eligible, and intake is 80. And the fee structure, every semester we charge 2 lakhs per semester, and for international applicants valid GRE score is required, and graduates in any discipline with first class or 60% marks earned in the degree in their degrees are also eligible. So and final year students uh, are also eligible to apply for the international applicants too. And the intake for international applicants is 10, and the program fee for international applicants is 3,500 USD. And the initial shortlisting will be on the composite score calculated uh, on the CAT overall score, and the work experience, and gender diversity. And the final selection will be on the candidates from all the categories shortlisted based on the composite score. So it will be on the personal interview and the composite score. So based on this, we the applicants are selected. So this is all about the selection process, and some information about SME IIT Jodhpur. So I'd like to conclude this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Krishna Kumar
Thank you.
Balaraman, Professor, and all the applicants and aspirants. Looking forward, you all to apply and get into SME IIT Jodhpur. Thank you all.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for joining today. Nice meeting you. Bye.
Thank you.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Abhishek, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I have just one question. Can you tell me more about the incubator? Like how many startups are associated with it?
Yeah,
And if
I
suppose,
can take that.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we have a total of 9 ventures currently incubated uh,
Okay.
in our startup, which in our incubation center, Technology Innovation and Startup Center, which
Okay.
uh, inaugurated in during pandemic in November 2020.
Okay.
So if you look at the IIT Jodhpur campus
Yeah.
on Google Map, what you'll find is that we are on two sides of the national highway. So
Mhm.
on one side we have the main academic block and the
Yeah.
hostels, and on the other
Yeah.
side we have the innovation complex, which has this incubation center, which is essentially a separate Section 8 company.
Okay.
And yeah, so these are early days, but again, more opportunities are always there when things are starting out.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek.
All right.
Hi, sir. I had one question regarding the exchange program. May I ask?
Yes,
Go ahead, Abhishek.
So actually, I asked around, and what I got to know is in the some universities there is a percentage bar in the graduation. So is that true? I have 65% only in the graduation. So will that make an issue if I opt for the this MBA program and want to go for the exchange program in the for the second year in USA?
Dr. Venkat sir, can you please go ahead?
Uh,
Right. I think I've typed in the answer. So basically, these vary program wise. First of all, it's not an exchange program. We stand corrected on that. It's a dual degree program. What it means is that you earn a full-fledged degree in the foreign university apart from a degree from IIT Jodhpur, whether it is MBA or MBA technology. For details, I've shared the hyperlink. You can look at the set of programs because we have about 5 programs spread across 3 universities as foreign partner institutions. All you need to do is look at the details tab against the program, which is a hyperlink, which will take you to the respective program page that you can look at in the website. Now, as I said, the bar is depending on the institution. The bar is set by the institution or foreign partner institution. So we don't have a say per se in what their admission requirements are. But largely, that's the bit, right? So it's a dual degree program. It's not an exchange program, which means it's a full-time application that you make for these institutions like any other graduates. But of course, you have an advantage coming through the IITJ ecosystem. You might be given preference in terms of the kind of programs that you're looking at, but the final selection is the call of the foreign partner institution. Okay.
thanks for the information.
Yeah, thank you. Chaitanya, we may conclude now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Krishna Kumar Balaraman, sir. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Chaitanya. Thanks for hosting me. Pleasure meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.